Hi members, short video this one focusing on Marley or Marley's ghost in A Christmas Carol. So who is he and what is his role? Scrooge's former business partner, we learn of him at the outset. A man similar in nature to Scrooge, with Scrooge the only attendee at his funeral. He acts as a cautionary warning for Scrooge when his ghost returns, informing Scrooge of a second chance. That if he doesn't change his ways, he's destined to end up like him, walking the earth in chains as a lost spirit, destined to be miserable for all eternity. He explains that he sees now all the human suffering, but is powerless to help, no matter how much he wants to. He has realised too late that he lived his life in the wrong way. Marley carries Dickens' message that caring for others is more important than making money. He also warns Scrooge that he will be visited by three spirits. Okay, so that's who he is and what his role is. He wishes he was still alive so that he could do good and refocus his attention on the suffering, the poor in society, and not just making as much money as he can. Bit of context, setting, a bit of background to the story. A reminder that the 19th century witnessed the Industrial Revolution, accelerated by the development of using coal to power the steam engine. There was a huge migration or movement of workers from the countryside to the towns and cities as a result of the new work on offer in the factories. This created vast wealth for the propertied individuals and controllers of business, but meant that millions earned very little and were exploited. Cities couldn't cope with the growth explosion, resulting in widespread cramped living conditions, poverty and illness. One shocking statistic for this time was that child mortality rates were dreadfully high, with 1 in 5 children dying before they reached the age of 5. Dickens' own background, which saw his father thrown into prison for debt, and his subsequent work as a court reporter, allowed him to see how harshly treated the poor were, and what awful living conditions they had to endure gave him an insight into how unfairly treated they were. Dickens uses the Cratchits to represent poor people, and is their influence over Scrooge, who represents those with power and influence, that allows him to see the harsh realities of Victorian London for the majority of people, and ultimately leads to his transformation, a transformation that Marley never got the chance to undergo. He realised too late, and that's why he's got to carry the chains he forged in life around with him forever. So, key quotations. I've picked them out so you don't have to. I wear the chains I forged in life. So, it's a lesson to all of us. How you spend eternity depends on how you lived your life on earth. So, do good. And what did this chain consist of? Cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, deeds, and heavy purses wrought in steel. These items symbolise the things Marley spent his life on. They are all related to money and protecting his possessions. And he regrets this now. Felt the chilling influence of its death-cold eyes. This is Scrooge, definitely affected by this experience. He's scared by the appearance of Marley's ghost, suggesting Marley's message is serious, and perhaps Scrooge is prepared to pay heed. My spirit never roved beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole. This reflects that he doesn't need to, or isn't capable of venturing too far. There is plenty of suffering and misery to be found nearby, that in death he is powerless to prevent. So he doesn't have to go far from where their office is, their counting house is, their accountancy firm is. Doesn't have to travel far to see the suffering and abject poverty that people are having to endure. And he tries to help them as a spirit, but he can't because he's a spirit. He wishes that now that when he was alive, he had done something different, something to help these people. And the final thing here, mankind was my business. This conveys Dickens' message that caring for others is the most important thing. Okay, exam relevance. As a relatively minor character, Marley, or rather his ghost, exerts the first pressure on Scrooge that perhaps it is time for him to change his ways and to start seeing that his priorities are all wrong. This is important for Scrooge, as Marley was something of a kindred spirit, with priorities primarily set upon the accumulation of wealth at the expense of decency, community, happiness and family. Remember, Scrooge was the only attendee at his funeral. Although unlikely to come up as a question on his own, perhaps, I can't predict the future, he is a character that can be connected to Scrooge and to themes such as redemption and responsibility. So areas to consider include redemption serves as a very visual warning to Scrooge. Money, family, charity, responsibility, poverty, isolation. and the consequences of not changing how you live your life. Okay, short one that was on Marley's ghost, but he's significant for how you can incorporate him into another question on character or theme. Okay, I hope it was useful. See you for the next one. Cheers, bye.